Welcome to the Investor Empowerment Series radio show, empowering your real estate investing with techniques, opportunities, and information, minus the BS and sales pitches. Now, please welcome the host of the Investor Empowerment Series, Joe Mueller, from the Tough as Nails Investment Syndicate, Joe Mueller.
All right, peeps. Welcome back again to the Investor Empowerment Series radio show. This is episode number 62. Let's talk about a deal. I guess this will be another deal of the day. Driving right now. It's about 6 in the morning. So I'm doing another CarCast podcast, which I've had a couple failed attempts at those for those of you who've been loyal listeners. Sound quality issues, but trying a little bit differently today with a microphone in the truck with me, and hopefully it comes out good. So I'm just going to wing it. So we've got a deal. Initially had a property that was potentially a wholesale deal, and I guess it still is a wholesale deal. It's in Lindenhurst, Illinois. That's about the only details of addressing I'm going to give out at this point. It's a northern suburb of Chicago, and it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property. Scratch that. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bath with a second bathroom that's been built out and roughed in but not finished. So it's got the plumbing to the bathroom, but it doesn't have a finished bath yet. So it's going to have a toilet and a shower, etc. This deal came about, and initially we meaning Dan and Cheryl and I, our wholesale team, we're going to sell this. We were thinking initially going to sell it on the MLS. We got a cash offer in from an investor, and they're kind of jerking around a little bit, and they brought up the question of seller financing. So we realized that, well, if we're even going to consider seller financing it, we should probably open it up to the masses instead of just this one person who happened to ask. And I say that because I think we can help a lot of people with this type of an opportunity. So that's why I'm putting it out there on the podcast, because I feel like this is a good learning experience, and it could be a great opportunity for the right person. So this deal in Lindenhurst, Illinois, this 3-bedroom, 1+1 invisible bath, or almost bath, has a 2-car garage sitting on a crawl space. It's a ranch. Doesn't really need a whole lot of work, but it does need some updates and improvements. No major systems or components. Just kitchens and baths and flooring mainly, and a coat of paint. You can get into this deal based on the fact we're going to do a seller finance type structure on it now to another investor. It would require $40,000 down. You'd have a loan balance of $80,000. So the total purchase price is $120,000. You need to put about $20,000 worth of work into this property, give or take. You know, that's never a hard number because you got to go look at it. You got to check it out, which this house is available to be seen. And the ARV on it's about 180 or so, maybe 185, depending on how nice you make it. And that's including finishing out that second bath. You'd have to do that in order to achieve that higher or the highest possible return on this purchase. So in this process, we're willing to finance the deal with the $40,000 down, which I know is no small chunk of change, but that's what we'll require in order to make this deal right, in order to seller finance it. So if you have that type of money, or you know someone that does, or you can access it somehow through a self-directed IRA from another investor, for example, you would pay $1,500 a month in a mortgage payment back in a seller finance structure. Then you would have whatever term we agree on. Right now we're looking at somewhere around 6 to 9 months to flip this property or to fix it up and refinance it into your rental portfolio. Rents over there probably around $1,600 when it's fixed up, maybe a little bit more. So why this is kind of a cool opportunity for the right person is some people might not have the best credit. Some people might not have the availability of obtaining that type of cash for a cash deal, right? You don't have $120,000 laying around, but you might have 40, plus the cost of the rehab, of course. We've worked with, and I've said this before, we've worked with Bill Jennings from Pathway Financial. He can assist any investor in obtaining a line of credit, and typically they're shooting for $100,000 to $150,000 line of credit for an investor, revolving line of credit, 0% interest for 12 to 18 months, how his program works. Well, in this type of a situation, you could hypothetically get into this type of deal needing about $60,000. You could utilize that type of a resource. I know the guys from Pathway and another local company, National Corporate Credit, offer those types of opportunities. So if you are someone who may not have the capital readily available, I could point you in the right direction to obtain it, or at least investigate that opportunity and then potentially put yourself into a deal like this. I personally, and so here's the question you get when we're wholesaling anything or when we're selling any property through our business structure: why aren't we doing it? Well, here's the answer. The answer is because we've got multiple projects going on at once, all kind of centrally located where we're based out of, in like the Algonquin, Elgin, Crystal Lake area. That's exactly where the projects are, by the way. Where we're working right now. That's where we've got rehabs going on right now. We've got crews working. And to be honest, Lindenhurst is about 45 minutes away from those projects. And that's not the only projects we have going on. We've got a couple other deals we're in the middle of where we're doing some lease option structures and some fixing and then renting. So we have enough where I feel like this property being a little bit further out, if I got to drive 45 minutes to an hour with traffic potentially to go check out, a contractor's work, I'm not saying it can't be done, but typically when I'm doing or when we're running our rehabs, we're pretty heavily involved in the general contracting process. We're not hiring a general contractor to go in and do all the work, and we just double check on it. That has happened before. For those of you that were at the meetup last week, we did a case study on a property in Lansing, Illinois, which is about an hour to an hour and a half away from where we're located. We hired a general contractor who literally handled every aspect of that job. Well, that was a little bit different because we had a big enough margin to pay a general contractor a premium that literally chose every color, every paint, every light fixture, every tile. He handled that whole project, and we pay a premium for that. This particular job, like I said, when we normally run rehabs, we're using subcontractors. We're having them do the work. We're hiring a tile guy. We're hiring a plumber. We're hiring an electrician. We're hiring a roofer. Everything's being managed on the day-to-day pretty much by me, Dan, and Cheryl. So even though we're a 3-person team, we all kind of divided up our responsibilities. We're all handling different aspects of what we've got currently in our investment portfolio, we'll call it. So this one, my personal opinion was, hey, it's a little bit further out. I'm not particularly interested in monitoring this, opportunity day to day because of that drive aspect and the location aspect. So it makes more sense if we can, sell it to another investor. I mean, it's a decent opportunity. Not a home run, but it's a solid base hit. Like I said, the margins on it, you're looking at a sale price of $185,000 ARV. You'd be in it for about $120 plus your rehab costs, or your balance due would be, you put your $40,000 up front for the down payment. You'd be be making payments of $1,500 a month for 6 months or 9 months, whatever we agree on. Obviously, you can tell there's a little bit of flexibility there. And then you have to come up with the money to put the rehab in. So let's say you're all in for $145,000, roughly. That includes your payments, your insurance, your rehab cost, whether you're swinging the hammer yourself or you're hiring somebody. I mean, that would be up to you as the investor to figure out. You still have a decent margin there of $40,000, not including the cost to sell the property, which we typically say anywhere from 7 to 10%. So it's a solid $20,000 takeaway deal as a profit margin for this end investor, whoever chooses to buy it. So it's a really cool opportunity for somebody that maybe is just looking to get started. Seller financing can be considered sometimes to be like the golden goose egg of real estate opportunities, because you don't have to deal with banks and no red tape, and you can negotiate with the investors involved or the seller involved, for example, in this case, who happens to be an investor. So if you're interested in something like this or learning more about it, reach out to me, joe@tanisgroupllc.com, or give me a call on my cell if you have it. I'm not going to put it out there on the podcast, even though I probably have before, but we can hook you up with these credit guys that can get you a revolving line of credit at 0% interest. You could hypothetically put, you could make this whole transaction happen with no money out of your own pocket if you wanted to go that route. So it's a great opportunity to buy a solid house with good bones that needs cosmetic updating, nothing structural, no major components. The house is only probably 20 to 30 years old anyway, so the electric's good, the plumbing's good. You just have to update it, finish out the bathroom, and I would definitely throw a coat of paint on and update the flooring. So reach out to me if this is something that would work for you. I think it's a great opportunity. To be honest, this is kind of a one-shot deal here. We're putting it on the podcast. We're making a few phone calls. Otherwise, we're just probably going to end up figuring out a way to rehab it ourselves, which is fine too. But I feel like this is another unique way that I can bring something out there to another person and, help someone else grow and ultimately, benefit somehow, some way in the long run. So thanks for listening. This is the Investor Empowerment Series radio show, episode number 62. And this is Joe Mueller. I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Investor Empowerment Series radio show. Be sure to tune in next week for another empowering episode. We welcome your feedback, so please rate us on iTunes and Stitcher, and visit us at www.investorempowermentchicago.com or tanisgrouprealty.com.